least Daniel.
So
Maybe.
Victor said he was going to be here tonight. Let me ask you a quick question. Uh,
Yep.
were you able to see where I put in the collaboration part of it now? I've tried to start using
So
for our
I
group.
I got like an email and I tried, but I tried looking on Canvas and I did not see a thing. And I
Can we do
wasn't sure
something real
where I
quick?
needed to go.
Let's try this. Let's try that because I think it's really important that we start getting our group stuff like where we can look at files and stuff and compare notes and really have a little more in-depth conversation, get something out of this. Can you go to on the left side navigation panel? Um, let's see, four down where it has the two little people. Click on that.
Uh, like under participants, or
I think
are
that's.
we on, are you talking on the Zoom or on Canvas?
I'm talking about Canvas. Thanks
Okay.
for clarifying. Um,
I've got, so like the collaborations tab, is that what
yes,
under
can
on
you click on
discussions?
that and see what happens?
To contact info for group two spreadsheet.
There you go. Okay, can you see if you can open that?
Yeah, I got it. I just wasn't sure where to look for it at
And then
first.
so now we know we can do that. When you get a chance, go ahead and fill that out when you get a chance. And then I haven't been able to actually download any files. Somehow that's not working for me yet. So if you could, as an experiment, just throw like a PDF or some kind of thing at some point, because we're jumping in the conversation here. We're started our time already, but just trying to get the group wrangled up so we can communicate better. Because to my knowledge, we've got two or three people that kind of show up, right? So I'd
Mhm.
like to see it where we get a better result there. Anyway, would you like me to go ahead and read the discussion too?
Sure.
Okay.
I read over it a little earlier.
All right.
Kind
So
of just had some thoughts. I wasn't, yeah, didn't
Dimitri
write
being
anything.
here, and then Zach, if you want to say your name,
I'm Zach Stradling.
thanks for being here tonight.
Yep.
And the discussion two, conceptual thinking, group two, we are UnQuo, that's the name of our group. And the problem put to us was Florida is getting hit by harder and harder hurricanes due to the rise in water temperatures. At least 10 insurance companies have gone bankrupt trying to pay off damages. The remaining insurers have raised their rates to astronomical highs or have deductibles that may make insurance hardly worth it. However, most homes are under mortgage and require some form of insurance. How would you fix this situation? Think about using the techniques from class. What is the crux of the problem? All right. So I think, see if I can add some crux here. So I think that the core problem isn't just that the high insurance price of the high insurance prices. It's that climate risk in Florida has changed much faster than the insurance system and regulations. So private insurers are being asked to absorb losses that are now too big and too frequent. That mismatch is what is bankrupting companies and pushing rates to insane levels. So
Yeah.
just structural mismatch between climate reality and insurance mortgage rules would be the simplified version of that.
Yep.
Are you got a similar thing, or do you want to go put your crux or what you think would be the crux of
Yeah.
the
So
problem?
I just, my kind of, my thought process was like the main issue was the weather causing a ton of damage. And that was too, the damage was too severe for any one insurance company to be able, or any multiple insurance companies even to cover continually. Like I can like sim exactly the same pretty much as what you were talking about. That was my kind of thought process as I was reading over it. I wasn't entirely sure like
Like
how
we
to kind of,
agree that at this point, maybe there's been some people saying they can control the weather, but until it's documented, we're just going to agree that since we cannot control the weather, then we have to look at what is another way that we can
yeah,
react to what's going on.
I agree.
Okay, let's see. Do you want to take turns like with some solutions? I've got like three bullets here.
Sure. Go you yeah. Do you want me to go first or
I can do it either way. I have a habit of kind of dominating these things or kind of taking over them, and I've realized that about myself. So I'm trying to be more. Um, a better share, a better teammate, and let other people
Yeah.
get
I
in.
mean, the solutions I come up with, I wasn't sure of anything kind of specific that we could do specifically to fix the problem, just some kind of general ideas or things to kind of mitigate some of the where possibilities of investments in potential. One thought I had was maybe not even, I mean, it kind of would be a little bit of an investment on homeowners' parts, but looking into weatherproofing of any kind to be able to just improve the weatherproofing in the area to be able to help mitigate any damage from these more powerful hurricanes.
So I'm going to add to that because I've got one of my points is the same, and it's using parametric style insurance triggers, which means that payouts are triggered. I got to admit Daniel into the group here. Just one second. Hey,
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel, go ahead and say your name so that you're part of the group and you're registered in here.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Oh, just say your name and so that you're I get credit for the group.
Oh, awesome. Daniel Sawicki.
Hey, Daniel, welcome. We started just briefly to catch you up. We just read the discussion problem, what we're trying to solve here. We've talked about the crux of the problem so far. So we can go and you can jump into what you think the crux of the problem is. Otherwise, while you kind of, since you're just getting in, coming in hot and heavy, we've started talking about three different bullet points, talking about solution sets. And the first one that Zachary had mentioned was talking about weatherproofing. It needs to be some of the responsibility needs to definitely fall on the Floridians who are having these houses and they're not preparing them properly for the weather. And with that, you're kind of caught up. And I'll let you decide if you want to have your own crux of the problem statement, or if you just want to jump into the adding to the solutions that we're coming up with.
Um, I'm still pulling up what I had written down. I
Okay,
made a couple of notes. Um,
you go ahead and do that. We're good. Can you multitask and we can just kind of talk
yes,
about
yeah.
some? Okay, cool. Appreciate you, man. I know you're coming in and we had started kind of right on time tonight. So, um, see, payouts under the parametric style insurance triggers for um, when people need to do a better job of weatherproofing. The payouts should be triggered by measurable events, so parametric style. That's wind, speed, storm surge, and then instead of long, messy claims and fights. And then that makes the risk easier to price. It reduces the fraud, and it will lower the admin cost, which can help stabilize premiums.
Yeah.
And guys, it's not like I just know all this stuff. Like I looked it
Mhm.
up, and between you
Yeah.
and me, and the instructors are going to hear this. I depend on AI a little bit. Like I'm not. I didn't just go, oh, hey, I've studied these techniques, and automatically I know how to come up with this stuff. So I'm reading some stuff that I've gotten that AI has put out, but I do want to dive into it and try to understand
Yeah.
it. But just
Yeah.
feel
I use it mostly as a research tool. It's like, hey, lead me to these sources,
free.
and AI may or may not be wrong. Usually is wrong, but
Yeah, you definitely have to put multiple prompts in there to get at what you're trying
yeah,
to do. So that helps us to understand how to use technology better and to get better at prompting because I think that's just a necessity
it's
for
a tool. It's
yeah.
not the solution.
We're careful not
But
to it does all the thinking for us. We have to
yeah,
try to improve our minds. We're all agreed on that.
yeah.
Cool, cool.
But
If I can jump in here real quick,
yes,
I
sir.
pulled up my notes. So I don't know what you already discussed, like too precisely, but I kind of went two directions. One note that I made was, because I kind of looked at it as like two possible crux kind of the problem. One might be that I think as you're kind of saying, how the homes are kind of failing structurally too easily. So some more safety, I guess, standards on houses would kind of be the solution. And then the second kind of thing that I went into that I didn't really think too much about because I wasn't really sure how I can propose a solution to this. But
Mhm.
that's the crux of the problem being that the insurance companies are kind of not how can I say, wait, where it just went away. I forgot the wording. That I suppose the insurance rates aren't really calculating the costs and the risk accurately enough to be able. That's more focusing on the ones that are going bankrupt. They're not really calculating their risk effectively.
Or are they calculating effectively and just they don't care what they're greedy and they didn't care what the consequences would be because the people who are at the top make the money. Would
Yeah.
that be a possibility?
Yes, I that was mainly more about the ones that went bankrupt. So I'm kind of that was like a perspective of from a stakeholder's perspective, what their crux of the problem would be, not necessarily from the perspective of the actual people with the homes.
Gotcha.
Sense.
So another point that we could tie into this is resilience upgrades. So big discounts for homes with hurricane rated windows or reinforced roofs, elevation, etc. And then that treats the insurance as behavior change tool. So people who reduce the risk pay less, which also lowers losses for everybody.
Yeah. That. Yeah. This ties into the weatherproofing and everything that we talked about with that, with improving the weatherproofing on the house and having if the, I like the idea that you brought up of the insurance companies incentivizing that with lower rates. Um, you'd have to convince the ingredients them to do that. I mean, it would save the insurance companies in the money in the long run, right? They pay less because you paid more to improve your house.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, they pay less because your stuff doesn't break as often.
Let's see, what else? So if we could split normal versus catastrophic risk, and I'm not an insurance guy, so these are kind of new things to me, so bear with me. Let the state or public reinsurance pool cover the extreme once in a decade mega hurricanes, and then let private insurance handle the more normal, predictable damage layer. And this way, it helps keeps companies from going bankrupt, and why they still have the market, so the market doesn't fail.
That sounds very sophisticated. I don't know enough about insurance to kind of have an opinion on that.
My my mom was an insurance adjuster for a little while, but she's not anymore. So I know a little bit about some insurance plans and things. But she knows everything I don't.
So
What do you kind of mean by private and public insurance?
So I think like there's a state level, the state has its insurance and there's private insurers. So I'd redesign a system so catastrophic risk is socialized at the state level, and everyday risk is private. So payouts are faster and cleaner using measurable triggers. And
So
people,
you say like all of the damages to your home during a giant hurricane would be covered by the state's insurance?
yeah, because those are like once in a great time, once in a great while, right? There's the normal, like we know that every once in a while there's going to be a predictable amount of damage. But every once in a while there's this thing that comes out of nowhere that's like huge and we weren't
Yeah.
expecting it.
How do you, I guess there's like there's just the question of like how much damage is enough damage to qualify for that?
Okay, that's
The
a good question.
question.
So
Yeah.
if there was a rectangle and we split it horizontally into two layers, let's say the bottom is 70%, and that's private insurance. That's normal storms, everyday claims. And then the top 30% would be the state catastrophic layer. That's extreme, like a Cat 4 or 5 losses.
Mhm.
And then on the side, you draw a small arrow, and the box will be labeled discounts for resilient homes, strong roofs, windows, elevations, all the things that we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
I mean, right now, private insurers are being forced to take the whole stack. So my fix would split the stack, um, and then using pricing to reward resilience.
Mhm.
I think I'm starting to like connect the dots. I think I understand what you mean now.
Okay,
Um,
I don't know.
that definitely is a lot more of a solution to, I guess, what I was kind of stumped on, how to make a solution about from the stakeholders' perspective, how to prevent their company from being bankrupt. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I'm starting to understand what you're saying, and I totally agree with that.
My big concern is the government. They're not gonna do much. I mean, I as just might be my kind of political thing. There is just like when it comes to things like of that nature, government laws and government subsidiaries and government help, it's not always as reliable, I think. I
You
don't know.
sure?
so the question
I
would be, how does government help relate to state help to make this plan real?
yeah. Or like because if it's coming out of the state government's insurance, like I don't know. It just
I'm going to see if I can get this simplified a little bit, guys, because I'm having the same problem connecting to the problem. I think we all are. It's a little more complex. Uh,
I mean, yeah.
and
I
these,
mean, we could even kind of just branch off and talk about other solutions that you might have come up with, Dimitri, or because this one might be a little bit confusing for us in some
sure.
ways. But I mean, I I agree with the definite. I agree with the first part for sure of a definite solution would be to incentivize people to weatherproof their homes better with lowered rates. That is like gold to me. That is a really good first solution. I just wasn't sure about the government part with the government, like the state insurance part, if that would work very well with.
And I think
It would take a
together with
while
that,
to implement. We know how slow the government can be.
I think like combined with all the weatherproofing stuff, and I think there was something about either you or Dimitri said about discounts for that like homes that are more. I think that was for insurance discounts for homes with more protection. I
Yeah.
think if another solution would possibly be, again, this is kind of like government based, but using tax write offs to kind of help promote stronger weatherproofing methods to like encourage people to buy them, because then if they can write it off on their taxes saying like they're weatherproofing their homes, that could also be a state level type uh I guess incentive.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an idea for sure. The tax write-off. So we talked a little bit about like kind of government solutions and insurance solutions. Are there any other kind of types of solutions that you guys can think of that would be to the problem that are kind of more environmental, I guess, or other things?
Well, there's a lot of interconnections that are not maybe as obvious. Like there's hidden stakeholders, maybe mortgage lenders, FEMA. Um, there's reinsurance markets in London and Zurich, which, I have no idea what that is about. But there's construction companies, state legislature, and climate scientists that all have skin in the game. So
Hmm.
back to trying to put that in English. Um, so that they already have some of these models in play. Now that I'm looking at it, let's see. I mean, so this has been going on in Florida. I mean, Zachary and I were talking before you got on, even before we started recording. Like 20 years ago, when I went down to visit Florida, there was something that had happened previously with my dad before I went down, and I remember asking my dad, like, why do they keep insuring these people? These houses are like every year this happens, and he didn't really have a good answer at that time. So I don't know. It's not that the problem hasn't existed for they've had plenty of time to figure it out.
People just need to move out of Florida, right?
I mean, just buy a beachfront property like in like in state in a community, and eventually the shore will just creep up and you'll have a beach. So just buy in the city, you'll have beachfront property.
I guess also in the very like kind of big picture, if the core issue is that Florida's getting hit harder by hurricanes due to the rise in water temperatures, we could also talk about solutions to, or I guess that'd be maybe a waste of time. It's too generic, but solutions in preventing the rise of water temperatures,
It's pretty
which is just
logical.
climate action and
That's a
whatnot.
lot of climate action, a lot of climate change solutions, which I
Okay,
don't know if we
would you
really need
agree,
to do
guys,
that.
that we are not gonna like solve this problem when we're building do you think there's a connection to data centers being built everywhere? And that is there a connection between the the water temperature changing and all the data centers that are being built?
Well, I guess it kind of depends on, I mean, if they're using if the data sensors, the way that they're being powered can affect the climate for sure. And
I
also
don't think
waste from a lot of the batteries. Um,
I don't think it's significant enough. I think the general carbon dioxide issue in the atmosphere is a much larger problem.
yeah. I
Pretty
mean,
sure the data centers are a little bit insignificant when it comes to kind of the rise of water temperatures in the ocean.
so part of what I've been studying this semester and what kind of several of my different classes have kind of talked about this semester is different ways that we're already kind of working on improving uh, climate change and natural res moving away from non-renewable sources of energy and ways like one of my friends is in a capstone project where they're going to convert the Cholla power plant here in Arizona to be completely renewable energies, whether that's that my friend's capstone project is literally to just do analyses to figure out which kind of power would be the best renewable source for conversion for the plant. Um, and so there's lots of different things being done in Arizona at least, and also just around this in the world already to kind of try and help with climate change. It's just it may not be fast enough sometimes.
So renewable power plants, that could be a fix to the situation.
Yeah, I kind of think that part of it, that weather part of it and climate part of it, that's a solution. That's something that we can't solve anytime soon. It's going to take centuries to completely undo climate change if they were to ever try.
Yeah.
So that's not a solution we need to worry about trying to fix right now, I don't think. I think for this problem, those solutions, weather change to climate change solutions, don't really have any kind of effect on the insurance right now. Because like, yeah, some people will get like insurance premiums to switching to solar. They'll get better insurance rates for switching to things like that. But those are small compared to trying to figure out like that, like we talked about earlier, the solutions with the rates with better weatherproofing and other things to just for short-term solutions.
I think your tax
Yeah.
write-off idea was a good one too, because you get the tax write-offs for disasters, like your disaster losses.
What do you think, Dimitri? I kind of rambled a bit.
Oh, I was saying that I think I was back to our earlier talk that we might be able to give tax breaks and grants for hurricane proof upgrades, and also the disaster losses can be that tax break or that write off that you guys were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any kind of like radical things that maybe we just like even off the wall, ridiculous things that you guys want to just like brainstorm a little bit and think, no matter how
I
ridiculous it
mean,
might seem?
I'm kind of thinking of the other perspectives too right now, just rereading the problem. So I mean, we talked about obviously the actual like kind of top of the iceberg. Reinforcing your home, write-offs help government like support financially, and then the very broad kind of things to prevent the actual rise in water temperatures at its core. But another thing is that I'm kind of looking at the middle of the problem that says the remaining insurers have raised their rates to astronomic highs or have deductibles that make insurance hardly worth it. However, most homes are under mortgage and require some form of insurance. So I'm kind of looking at that. So getting rid of insurance obviously would help you avoid the high insurance costs. Um, but I'm just thinking of
You don't want to be uninsured,
solutions.
right? You don't want to
Sorry,
be
what?
uninsured if I was gonna say you just don't want to be uninsured if a hurricane hits is another thing. You don't want to have to
Yeah,
pay
that's
for
true.
all
I
those
mean,
damages on your own.
being uninsured is obviously very risky, but when it's kind of up to the person. Maybe they think that it's not worth it or whatnot. So buying a home not under mortgage or kind of something like that could technically be a more radical solution. Um, but I don't know if that's as easy as just like that.
From an entrepreneurial space, like, is there a way where people can add height? You know, if Tom Cruise can add height to his shoes and be seen as a star. Can everyday people add some structural? You're an engineer over there, Zachary. What would the cost and the ROI be back for instead of replacing your whole house? They decide start designing houses that can, I don't know, detach and float. You can control them, or maybe you can like hot air balloon them. Like, what are some radical ways to like make your home more
Mhm.
mobile or make it so that it has a better foundation, you can rise up when the water goes through, like.
Yeah, I mean everything has its own risks. Like with floating houses is an example you kind of talked about a little bit. If then you have to deal with, well, what if your house floats away out into the ocean? Or like something happens, the anchor breaks for some reason, your house floats away. Or if you have a floating house, it could, if the winds are strong enough, get pushed into a different house. And then those two houses collide, and that's an issue.
And we make
Or
Waterworld happen, grow some web feet and start living on there.
yeah. Or
Create
Maybe
our own
you'd
urine,
have to come
yeah.
up with new solutions for um you'd have to come up with n new solutions for foundations for the houses that wouldn't have their own risks with the hurricanes, right? Like
maybe
sure, flying
no,
houses would be cool, uh, but they'd probably just get blown away
I mean, do you guys think
yeah.
by a
there
hurricane,
ever
right?
was like an Atlantis that really existed? I don't want to get too far off course, but do you think that is in the realm of
You guys there
possibility?
still? Did I lose you?
About what?
Go ahead.
So I didn't hear the question. I think you asked something.
Um, No, we're just talking like if there was did you ever think that Atlantis at one point existed? There was an underwater kind of evolved back then group of
Oh,
people living.
maybe that could be a solution actually. Building everything underwater. If the water levels are going up, we just kind of embrace that and go underneath. I think Zachary also disconnected. Oh,
There he
he's back.
is. Welcome back, Zach.
I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was like, I don't know if that was something on my end. I just I lost the call.
We thought
What
you got excited and just went when we talked about Atlantis and went out and started to try to find timeshares for underwater living.
No, I was like, what did you last, so like the last thing you heard from
We're
me,
looking at just
or was it?
radical ways to
Yeah.
kind of roll with the punches. Like, is there, since you are an engineer, we're kind of asking you some questions, and you talked about the ROI or the everything has new problems. So you start doing that, and then you've got a whole new set of problems. But I just want to throw in real quick, the reason that we're having a lot of problems with the is that we have 1980s hurricane models and frameworks in the 1980s, so that and there's a history, right? But now
Hmm.
these storms are happening so often and so sporadic and so um, and are so large that they can't accurately gauge when the next one's coming. So that you can't do any probability with any kind of confidence there. So it makes it hard to insure them.
Hmm. So maybe maybe investments need to come in to improve the weather modeling and weather
There you
prediction
go. Now we're talking.
for uh for meteorology. I don't know, I'm not a meteorologist, but
That's a pretty strong idea right there that we could push through a little bit more. What do you think it would take to let's say we take some of the AI that we have that we didn't have 5 years ago, and we're able to put like a large think tank together just to solve that one problem, is how to create um, better pattern recognition and structural recognition to predict the weather. And then what do you think well, let's just start there and then we'll move on.
yeah, you could definitely put together some new kind of coding module, new artificial use AI to kind of work as a predictive uh put together some sort of new predictive model with AI. Um I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of still trying to learn a lot more about large language models and all that fun stuff. I'm actually taking a class on that next semester as part of my secondary focus. But I think, yeah, you could definitely implement AI in that regard to to do modeling uh, of weather. Um, I don't know exactly how all that works. I'm not a software engineer. I'm an electrical engineer, so I wouldn't be able to say with full certainty how to make things work like that, but I believe it would be possible.
Let's see what else. Okay, so do you guys believe that even in a depression or in other times, like some people are innovators and they're able to see the problem and then come up with a solution because they saw something or they were able to kind of bend the rules or do whatever they needed to do. They came out on top. They did really well.
Hmm.
So I see this has been designated a problem. Um, what would be a way to financially benefit from this problem by solving it?
I mean, if you're the CEO of the insurance company who's giving the improved rates for improving your house's weatherproofing, then you get dollar bills, right?
So I guess like
I think
if
also
go ahead.
I think also being the just kind of the first like market mover of a product that can reliably save your house from a very intense storm um, is also a really good way to like I guess,
Uh,
profit off the disasters.
Build a hurricane-proof tent that you can put over your house.
So we're thinking like a, I mean, I just see like everything in a bouncy ball. If we just start there, like it works for hamsters. Like what could we do? Like I've seen cats go crazy trying to get at these things. Like what in a playful way, in a with childlike curiosity.
Do we just
Um,
build a bubble over Florida?
that is a interesting thing. There was an artist that made these huge textiles that were like miles long that he would do. Let's see. Companies can.
I mean, there's those, it's kind of like sci-fi of those like terrariums, right? Where you live, or like everyone in the lives in this entirely weather controlled environment and nothing gets in, nothing gets out, and all of the weather happens is completely controlled
What about
by,
biodome?
like a biodome type thing,
Remember
like
that
a
with Polly
terrarium.
Shore?
I think also the issue with those kind of things is it protects you from the wind, but the combination of the flooding too generally messes up a lot of the wind protection. So it's either kind of it's hard to get something that has a balance of both protecting you from the intense floods and whatnot, and also the wind. Because I guess like any protection you could set up against the wind, um, more often than not, can also get it'll float away from the water. And if you do something for the water, it might also kind of compromise uh, on kind of the vulnerabilities from the wind.
Mhm. I mean, everything has those kinds of, you gotta find a balance, right?
Yeah. I have another Zoom meeting in a couple of minutes here. And I also just want to discuss real quick because next Thursday, which is yeah, our next meeting, I have something overlapping with this like the next meeting. So would you guys be fine with maybe rescheduling that to maybe
Well,
Wednesday or Tuesday even?
so here's another thing to note. If we continue doing these in-person discussions, we only have to do three. We can skip one entirely. So we could even skip next week entirely if we wanted.
Does that work with everyone?
Sure. We just got to make sure we get Victor in here because he missed the last one. So, and he missed this one. So he's going to be, I mean, I guess what I could do is just show up and kind of run through one. And if Victor doesn't show up, then he's kind of, that's it. We've done what we can to help Victor.
I mean, the other three members of our team just have never or come, right? C
Right.
members.
But
Yeah.
also, Victor was very, like, at the beginning of class, he was the one trying to get everybody put together and get it going. So I think
Yeah.
maybe he's just struggling with the time difference.
Yeah, I think the problem is that I believe he mentioned in his like first email that he's on Eastern time, and this is like 11 o'clock at night for him. Um, so that might be an issue. But potentially, I mean, so like Daniel and Dimitri and I, we only have to do one more of these, but he has to do one, at least one, and then he has to do. I mean, he didn't post anything for the other ones, did he? I mean, I
Hmm.
don't know. I
Well,
don't know how. I mean, it's not our business, our grade. It's his, but I don't know. I think we've covered our 30 minutes though. So,
yeah, you got to
um,
get going.
if
Good luck
Daniel,
in your
if you
next
need to
class.
get
Thanks
going,
for joining.
we can kind of text. I put my phone number on that Google Sheet. Daniel, if you go on Canvas
I'll do that real
under
quick.
on the discussions page, if you see over on
Yep.
the left, there's collaborations.
I'm looking for it. Oh, collaborations. I see that.
And then just the very first thing in collaborations is contact info. It'll take you
Awesome.
to a Google Sheet. put your phone and email on there. And we could have a little bit better contact, I think.
And then the last thing I'm gonna say
Dimitri's very kind to set this up for us. So
for you, Daniel, before you shoot out of here. If you get, I'm trying to figure out how we can put information that we can all talk about the same information and pull the same research, so we can, dive deeper, kind of get into it.
yeah.
Anyway, we'll try to do better
Um,
and see what we can do. But thanks for everybody showing up and discussing.
yep. Thank you for hosting, Dimitri,
Awesome.
again.
All right. Sounds good.
Um, sounds good. Thank you.
I will get this transferred over and put on a YouTube and then submitted to the class so we all get credit.
Thank you, sir. That sounds great.
All right, guys, take it easy.
You too.